Hi, I'm Anna Hunter from Belgravia Gallery in London. We've been dealing in Nelson Mandela's art for the last 7 years. Come and see it. We were in New York in 2002 exhibiting art by Prince Charles. At the exhibition, we were approached by the publishers of artwork by Nelson Mandela. We had at that stage no idea that Mr. Mandela had taken to drawing, and were amazed at the wonderful pieces that he'd produced. We were asked whether we'd be interested in launching Nelson Mandela's work in England, and we were delighted at this opportunity. A few months later, the first pieces by Nelson Mandela arrived at our gallery. They were very colourful, bright, had lovely words that Mr. Mandela had written, and they were images of Robben Island, of places that had been quite painful to him, just brought to life with wonderful, cheerful colours. We were just thrilled at these, and when we launched them, they made headlines around the world, and we had a queue of press looking at them. A few months later, my daughter Laura and I went to visit Mr. Mandela at his home in Johannesburg. And that morning, we were greeted by Zelda, his assistant, and we walked into his dining room and saw this very famous man, and he was very charming, and he asked us about our business. My daughter had just got a new Sony camcorder and said to him, "Mr. Mandela, would you mind if we just filmed you signing some lithographs?" And he said that that was fine. Anyway, that morning was really significant for us. We chatted with him for about 4 hours while he signed some 400 lithographs. With us were his lawyer, Mr. Ayob, the publisher, Ross Calder, and his assistant, Zelda. That morning, too, we saw drying alongside the settee a number of handprints that he had done that morning, one of which I noticed had a shape that looked a bit like Africa in the middle. And we remarked on this and joked. Later on, that piece became very famous. It was called Hand of Africa and was reproduced on the front page of the London Times. We had a very genial conversation that whole morning. He spoke animatedly about the Queen and how he calls her Elizabeth and she calls him Nelson, about Mrs. Thatcher, who sends him medications from time to time, about Prince Charles, praising him for all that he does for his charitable work, and of course about the late Diana, Princess of Wales, who had alerted him to the nature and scale of the problem of AIDS. Mr. Mandela told Laura and I about how much he loved doing these drawings. And he said, he joked that he would like to be a full-time artist when they finally let him retire. And he also told us that it was much easier to draw than it is to write books. We said farewell, and we were asked to come back to South Africa a couple of months later to attend the most memorable dinner of our lives. It was actually on Robben Island in the games room that was restored especially for the launch of Nelson Mandela's lithographs to the world's press. Mr. Mandela came in by helicopter, and he spoke about his paintings and how much he enjoyed doing them. And I also spoke about how historically important and interesting these pieces are. Mr. Mandela sat with us and our clients at a long table and really enjoyed the evening and the celebration of his art. With all the publicity, the lithographs were incredibly successful. They sold all around the world. We were very moved when we met some of the people who had been very deeply affected by Nelson Mandela's drawings and by what he'd written about them. Mr. Mandela's signatures started in this corner, and then as we got talking and talking, he moved his signatures up and up towards this wonderful image, which is the inside of his cell on Robben Island. And notice he's coloured it in lovely, bright colours and not the awful, miserable greys that are actually there. Another favourite one is the lighthouse, and this Mr. Mandela wrote of it. He saw it as a symbol of hope and not of oppression of the tyranny of apartheid. And again, it's got wonderful bright colours, a lovely mauve, not at all like you'd see actually on Robben Island. And lastly, as a favourite, iconic piece of Nelson Mandela, this fantastic drawing which shows the bars of his cell that he must have contemplated so often. And instead of looking across a bleak courtyard on Robben Island, he looks towards Table Mountain and this gulf between the two places where he was and where he'd like to be. He's painted in a very bright green. So this is an extraordinary piece with very vivid colours from such a dreadful memory. So we really admire the work of Nelson Mandela in this gallery, and we hope that it will be appreciated and hang in museums and galleries all over the world.